Before we get into it, if you enjoyed these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button, and keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as, investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. All right, folks, here we are on Friday, March 7th. We're going to take a look at NIO today. So I continue to say that NIO has an opportunity here to, put in a good showing, maybe make a run at 5, if not something more significant, and claw back some of the significant losses that it's had over the many, many months and years. It certainly feels to me that it's outperforming the market at the moment. It's mostly pinned to this 436 level that we have on the chart. A dip down here toward 4 on this day, hit a low of 410. But doing a good job clawing back, and it did drop 8.5% on this day. So it has had some rough days, of course. But the market, QQQ, for example, not pinning itself to any level here. It's really sort of bleeding through. Same thing with SPY, a little bit better. But, to my eye, I do feel like the chart on NIO is sort of holding up better at the moment, holding mostly horizontal, and bouncing back from pretty big red days with some clawing back to green days, putting in a nice day today. Now, like I said, it's pinned here at this 436. What I'd really want to look for it to do is move to this 455 and then essentially make a run back at 5. It topped out here just over 5 at 513 back here on the 27th of February. So a couple weeks ago at this point. But yeah, I'd really like to see it make a run at 5 sooner than later. But it does seem, for the time being at least, that it has left this downtrend resistance behind. It is doing exactly what we thought it would do. We put this blue level on the chart for a reason. We said if it's going to kind of pin itself to something to get distance from that downtrend resistance and get itself just out from under it, that would be the one that I'd look for. And that's what it's doing. It's doing a good job at the moment. So just to consider the flip side, right? If it does get dippy and it loses this 405, what I would look for is to see if this uptrend support holds. This uptrend support is not like the fanciest uptrend support. It's not the most impressive, but it did originate back here in April of 2024, so almost a year ago, and put in some good work here late, late in the summer months of 2024 to help it boom to that 7 range where it, briefly went. So if it comes banging down, the reason that I keep these old uptrend supports in here are so that if it comes banging down hard, the hope there is that that level will hold. Doesn't mean it has to, for sure. Those fail eventually as well. But if it does come banging down, that's what I look for. If it can't, 365 and 325 might be in NIO's future if it gets that dippy. The other thing to consider here, I mentioned that my feeling is that it is holding up better than QQQ or SPY at the moment, but if things continue to just get dicey, feel too unsettled, too chaotic for investors, and the macro forces continue to push the markets lower, I don't know how long NIO can hold on. We may find out. But overall, I'm not really bullish on the market as a whole. I do feel like NIO potentially is an outlier. I had felt that Rocket was an outlier, and that did well. I feel like potentially Lumen is an outlier. So, but there's always like, they're an outlier for how long, right? Eventually they give in to the pressure of the macro forces because it's just so strong and significant. So just bear that in mind. If we see like a bloody Monday or who knows, a bloody March, it might be really hard for NIO to hold up when it could have a great opportunity in any other environment. If things are just gonna bleed out, then there may not be much that it can do. EMAs wise, not super interesting here. In the short term, EMAs are kind of bunching together, but it looks to me, again, in just a normal market environment, So this may not be that, but it made a run at the 183, this gray EMA back here in October. It made a run at it again in December, made a run at it again late February, and it looks to me like there isn't really a great reason, other than the macro forces, that it couldn't, make another run at it again. And each time it's been sold off through that level. But my question would become, if it can knock on the door again, are the sellers that have showed up, 3 times in the recent past, are those sellers exhausted? And maybe that gives potential for some run room through 183. I don't know if it could hold it, right? It ran right through it here when it ran up through 7, but it lost it pretty quickly. And so, again, it's not to say that it's the magic bullet or anything. It's going to be like, sunshine and roses from there. But it could at least give an opportunity clearance to test out that 5, because that's situated right now at 488. And yeah, I have my eyes on the 5 to see if it can make another run there, if it can capture it, and what it might be able to do from there. But I don't know. In a standard market environment, I would feel that it has all of the makings of wanting to try to test that 183 again. Here on the Thinkorswim side of things, it continues to be interesting in the sense of this is an incredibly lengthy trigger. After this pretty lengthy trigger back here, which when it fired, you had a little move here. I don't know if that feels like a super outsized move for something like NIO. It came about mid-4s, like down to about 4. To me, peeled off about 10, 11%, probably something like that. Something like NIO, I don't necessarily feel that that's the sustained outsized move. Also, that sort of mostly took place over the course of like 4 or 5 candles. So to me, this feels a lot like potential for a re-trigger and a refire, which is oftentimes where we see things just set off, right? That's where we see the fireworks really go kaboom. And if that's the case, it's just been such a lengthy trigger off of the back of such a lengthy previous trigger. And, maybe there's some fireworks that are going to happen here. Just keep in mind that TTM squeeze indicator is looking for an outsized move. It doesn't say that the outsized move is going to come to the upside. So this is not a, this has to go bullish and just zoom. It could be a total rug pull. It could be a full elevator down moment. It's just looking for a big move to come out of it. So speaking of big moves, if it comes to the downside, the put trigger on this setup for March, for the month of March, put trigger initiates at 383. It has a -1 ATR of 176, okay, with potential support in the interim there at 280. If it booms to the upside in March, we have the call trigger at, that put trigger, I don't know why this is fooling me here. This is 395 up here. This looks like it's 383 to me, so I'm not sure which exactly is which. Maybe it's pulling that 383 from no, I don't know, but it's either 383 or 395. I guess same thing with the call trigger. It's either 511 or 531, with a +1 up to 750. This says. The 176s, those at least line up. So I don't know what the deal is with the other situation. But yeah, if it can get motion through that 5, like I said, call trigger, 531, will it open it up to 750? That's a stretch. That would be an outsized move, though. That's what it's looking for, right? So, and an interim potential, first level hit of about 640 or so in between there. So, stretching a huge range here, 176 to the downside, 750 to the upside, and several levels in between. So if it wants to make a big move, it feels very primed for it. My question is it going to be given the breathing room to do so by the global forces at work? I don't know. All right, folks, so I hope that you had a good trading week. You enjoy your weekend ahead, and as always, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.